Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a telephone conversation between the accommodation officer at a university and a student. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3.
Good morning. National University Accommodation Office. Rosemary speaking. How can I help you?
Hi, I'm coming to do a short course at the university this summer, and I'd like to book some accommodation, please.
Okay. Have you seen the online booking form on our website?
Oh, no. Sorry, I didn't realize.
Don't worry. I can fill it in for you now if you like. Then I can email it to you so you can check it and submit it online. Will that be okay?
Oh, yes. Thanks.
Okay. First of all, what's your surname?
Blake. That's B-L-A-K-E.
Okay. And your first name?
Daniel.
Is that Daniel?
Yes, that's right.
Thank you. And have you studied with us before?
Yes, I have.
Great. Then you'll have an ID document with a number. Have you got that to hand?
Yes, here we are. The number is 410623.
Thank you. And I'm putting male for gender.
That's correct.
Could I take an email address, please?
Sure, it's d.blake@internet.com, all lowercase.
Okay. So that's d.blake@internet.com.
That's correct.
And do you have a phone number where you can be reached if there's a problem?
Yes, that's 0779 435 354.
453354?
No, 435 354.
Okay, I've got it.
Before you listen to the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 4 to 10.
So, you said you're going to be studying with us in the summer. What course are you doing?
I've enrolled to do art history.
And which start date have you selected? The 1st of July?
No, the later one.
The 4th of August?
That's it.
And what type of accommodation would you like to book? Was it full board, half board, bed and breakfast, or self-catering?
Self-catering, please.
Okay. And did you want a single room or a shared room?
Oh, I hadn't thought about that, really. Is there a difference in price?
Yes. The shared room is much cheaper, but I can't guarantee who you'd be sharing with at this stage.
I see. No, I don't want to share. Let's say single. I can see the prices here in the prospectus. It's not too expensive.
Good. And you'll see you can also pay extra for a private bathroom if you want.
Ah, yes. That sounds like a good idea.
So shall I put private? You can always change it before you send the form in if you have second thoughts.
Yes. Okay, let's do that.
And finally, Daniel, will you need a parking place?
Oh, yes, please.
I need to put here the type of vehicle, just whether it's a bicycle, a motorbike, or a car, you know.
Yes, it's for a car.
OK, well, that's all. I'll email you this now and you can check it and send it in with your deposit.
Thanks.
Did you want to pay £50 or £100 as your initial deposit?
Oh, 100, please.
Thank you. A credit card payment will be prompted when you submit the form.
Okay.
Is there anything else I can help you with?
No, that's all. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You will hear a restaurant manager giving a briefing to new staff. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16.
OK, so it's really good that the three of you are starting today. I can give you this briefing all together and save time. Basically, you're all going to be waiting at table, moving between the kitchen, the dining room and the bar, taking the customers' orders and bringing them their food and drinks. Most things are fairly obvious, but sometimes when it gets busy, you have to find things in a hurry and there's nobody to ask. So I'm going to show you where 1 or 2 key items are kept. First, cutlery. Knives, forks, spoons, that kind of thing. As soon as each table is vacated, when the diners get up to leave, you should come and clear the table and relay it. The clean stuff is kept just inside the kitchen, OK? The same place where the chef leaves the plates of food that are ready to be served. Remember, waiters aren't allowed to enter the food preparation area itself, so you needn't go any further into the kitchen than that. But before you can lay the table, you'll need to put on fresh table linen. Obviously the napkins, but also the cloth, even if it looks clean, will need changing. Clean table linen is kept in a cupboard here below the till, where we deal with the customer's payments, so you may have to be patient if somebody's waiting for a credit card authorization or something. Now, customers are given menus when they first enter the restaurant to look at while they're waiting at the bar to be shown to their table. All you have to do is collect these up after you've taken the order and return them to the stand by the front door. There are always spares there if you need one. There are real flowers on each table. These don't usually get changed between customers, but if people want to take them, they can. Or sometimes they get damaged. Anyway, if you need new ones, you can find them in a bucket of water beside the door that leads into the yard behind the restaurant. And finally, if there's a spill or a glass gets knocked over or you need something to clean up the mess, there's a supply of disposable towels next to the barman's sink. That's something you're sure to be needing sooner or later. And if anyone actually gets injured, there is always a first aider on duty. There's a duty list on the wall in my office, and there's a red box on the wall by the door into the restroom which you share with the kitchen staff. That's got all the necessary stuff in, you know, bandages, plasters and so on. So, has anyone got any questions so far?
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20.
And now, just a word about complaints. Ideally, we don't get any, but sometimes things can go wrong, and sometimes you also get difficult customers. Anyway, as the waiter, you will often be the person who gets to hear the complaint first. It's important not to respond, however, but to refer the complaint to the responsible person who will deal with it. As manager, I like to hear about all complaints, but I don't need to be directly involved in minor ones. If, for example, customers complain when they first enter the restaurant, perhaps they don't like their table or they're kept waiting too long, then there's no need to call me. This is something the head waiter will deal with. When it comes to the food itself, however, particular dishes that people don't like or whatever, there's a need to be cautious. The head chef is quite a strong character who doesn't like to be criticised. So, although in the end he will be responsible for dealing with complaints about the food, please don't approach him directly. Always go through the head waiter. Now, when it comes to complaints about the whole meal, whether it's the food or the service in general, then I do want to know. The head chef and the head waiter will be involved in sorting out the problem, but I want to speak to the customers myself and find out what's gone wrong and offer them a free meal or a discount. Finally, if the customer has already paid and then complains about anything, then this is something only the manager can sort out because it could be a refund, perhaps on a credit card, and this will need authorisation. I'm generally in my office if I'm not actually in the dining room, so don't hesitate to call me. So, if there are no further questions...
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear a tutor talking to two students, called Jack and Francesca, about a presentation they have given. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25.
OK, if you want, we've got some time left for some feedback on your joint presentation today.
Yeah, we can do it now while it's fresh in our minds, if it's okay with Francesca.
It's okay with me.
So, Francesca, how do you think it went?
Well, I was really happy with it, actually, but I'm glad it's over. I think the main advantage of doing the presentation was that we both learned quite a lot about training and skills development for the workplace and how they improve people's opportunities in life, especially their job prospects.
And we learnt a lot from actually delivering the presentation as well, which is really useful for the future.
Yeah, that was important too. As I said, I was pleased with it, but if I had to do it all over again, I'd change a few things.
Like what, for instance?
Well, the first thing I do is work on the pace of the talk and make the delivery slower. And I'd keep a clock in front of me so that I was aware of the speed. And the next thing is, the length of the talk. I'd make the presentation time 15 minutes for each of us, because I think 10 minutes each was much too short. If we had given ourselves more time, it would have flowed better.
Yes, I agree. I thought the timing was a bit tight. I'd say maybe even 30 minutes each.
30 minutes might have been a bit long for both you and the audience.
Maybe you're right. 15 minutes each would probably have been better.
And the next thing is the order of the data. I thought the sequence was bad. It could have been a lot better.
Yes. If I had to give some particular advice, I'd say you needed to give yourselves a run-through once or twice using the equipment just to see what it's like. Doing it without preparation like that's not that easy.
No, definitely not. And another thing for me is that we forgot to give out the handouts with the copies of our slides on them for people to take notes. I should have given them out before we started. And one final thing I do is I check that everyone could see the screen properly. I'd make sure the arrangement of the chairs in the room made it easy for everyone to see.
And Jack, what about you? How did you feel about it all?
Well, I agree with Francesca. Yeah, in everything she said. It's very difficult to make the delivery smooth. When I do it again, I'll definitely spend more time practicing to make it run more smoothly.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30.
But would you add anything to what Francesca said?
Perhaps I'd try to pack less information into the time given. I thought at first it would be the opposite. I was afraid that we'd end up looking foolish. And also, I think I'd spend less time on the information gathering phase, because unless time is devoted to practicing, it'll not be possible to give a good performance.
Yeah, I think I'd agree. Anything else?
Yeah, I get very nervous when I speak in front of people. If I did it again, I'd make sure I practiced speaking out loud and projecting my voice. I think the key for me is learning to steady my nerves.
But you were very calm.
Not inside, I wasn't.
Well, it didn't show.
I think you need the nerves to keep you going. But maybe try to take your mind off it beforehand by exercising or something.
Is that everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you'll be pleased to know the feedback from the class questionnaires was that the presentation was enjoyable, so well done. I have to say that I agree with them.
Oh, thanks.
I'll make a copy for both of you of the questionnaires if you want. And if and when you do give a talk again, you can keep them to refer to.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 4.
You will hear part of a talk about the migration of early humans. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Well, in today's lecture, we are going to explore early human migration out of Africa to colonize the world. Throughout history, there have been waves of humans migrating as people have moved from one locality to another, sometimes quickly over very short distances, and sometimes slowly over very great stretches of land, in search of a new or different or better life. There now appears to be general agreement that the first movement of people of any real significance in any part of our planet originated in East Africa, approximately 100,000 years ago. This first group of modern humans made their way across the Red Sea, which was then a dry bed, then through Arabia and into what is now the Middle East. But these early pioneers soon died out. Just like today, the Earth was subject to shifts in temperature. About 70,000 years ago, the planet became warmer and another group of modern humans migrated out of their homeland of Africa, following basically the same route, and then moving on to South Asia. By about 50,000 years ago, modern humans had colonized China, and about 45,000 years ago, they had reached Europe. These early humans settled in the wide open spaces of Siberia about 40,000 years ago, and about 20,000 years ago, modern humans reached Japan, which was connected to the main landmass at that time. Now, there was no land connection between Australia and Southeast Asia, so the first Australians who arrived around 50,000 years ago must have made the journey across the sea in simple boats to settle on the Australian continent. Modern humans moved from Asia to North America, which was reached across what is now the Bering Strait through Alaska. This migration happened between 15 and 13,000 years ago. There is also some evidence to suggest that modern humans came across pack ice via the North Atlantic, but this theory has been discounted by some. Since that time, the American continent has been the destination of waves of human settlement. Before we look at more modern examples of human movement, like the Anglo-Saxon migrations to Britain in the 5th century AD, the migration of Turks during the Middle Ages, and the migration of the Irish to America in the mid-19th century, I'd like to look at a migration within the continent of Africa itself that I'm personally very interested in. If we look at the map of Africa, we can see some patterns that are common to other waves of human movement throughout history. The routes here show what is probably the most significant migration in Africa itself, that of the Bantu, who spread out from a small region in West Africa near the present-day border of Nigeria and Cameroon, just around here on the map, to occupy roughly 30% of the continent by the year 1000 AD. A trigger for this movement may have been the result of the cultivation of the yam, a starchy root vegetable which Bantu farmers started to grow as part of their staple diet. This cultivation began around 2750 BC, resulting in the expansion of the population. The Bantu people then spread out into the neighbouring territories, which were at that time sparsely populated. As the land of the rainforest could not sustain the farmers and their families for longer than a few years, they moved on, felling trees and creating new clearances in the forest to cultivate yams. With the numbers of the Bantu on the increase between 2500 and 400 BC, the people were constantly on the move, migrating south down through modern-day Congo in Central Africa, and reaching Zimbabwe and modern-day South Africa by about 100 AD. It was contact with Sudan in North Africa that introduced the Bantu to iron production, in which they excelled. Once they had exchanged knowledge of working in iron from Sudan, the quality of their work rivaled that produced by the Mediterranean people of the time. They now had better tools to cut down trees, clear forests, and work fields. And there is one other benefit iron gave them, and that was a military advantage over their neighbours. I'd say that migration has transformed the world from early times, and we all reap the benefits of different peoples coming into contact with each other.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you cut guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests. to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.